I was feeling stress in my life recently, and I was feeling fear, like kind of a deep fear, and I decided, I'm gonna figure out what this is. Fear and stress, they can be this bully that it's out here, and I'm like, I want to figure this out. So I had some conversations, and I was able to identify some core fears for me, two in particular, that had created kind of an undertone in my life. It was stressing me out. And so I was able to put language on it, two core fears. I'm gonna share one of them with you. One of them, a core fear that I have, is that I get to the end of my life and I have a major regret, that I look back and go, oh, I blew that, and now it's too late. Can't do anything about it. But that was vague for me because I was feeling all the time like, is what I'm doing today, is it contributing to what I'll regret or not regret? Like, I hadn't really gone in to do all the thinking of like, what would I regret? So what it did was, when I started talking it out with and getting some help, I was able to really, really define my priority and actually imagine myself on my deathbed looking back, like, what would I regret? Like, imagine this scenario, how would you feel? Imagine this scenario, how would you feel? And because what I was trying to do in my life, because I was worried that I would regret, is I was trying to do it all. Because I was worried, like, if I don't do it all well, I'm gonna get to the end and I'll be like, oh, but I missed that. And so I was able to come up with tremendous definition around what priorities I have, and then now I can come up with a plan. My plan is, I'm going to learn as much as I can and give my best energy to the things that matter most. And because it was that stress in some ways is an invitation into development. Stress is an invitation to do some thinking if you'll walk into it and really look at it. And sometimes you do some editing because you're empowered and you go, I've been putting up with that relationship too long. That's done. That's causing stress. And I've been kind of thinking I couldn't end it, but I'm ending it. This job over here, okay, I know unemployment's scary too. I'm not saying it's stressless to be unemployed, but I'm doing this till it's toxic. I'm done. I'm cutting it off. And so sometimes you do some editing in the process. You take the power that God's given you and the ability to do some things that you have assumed constraints on your own life. But for me, it caused me to really, instead of this being this ambiguous fear that I was living with on a daily basis, Greg, you're gonna get to the end of your life and regret, I was able to come up with a plan and create tremendous definition. So like I imagined this. I imagined my max amount of success in taking, professionally and as a leader and as a teacher and all this stuff and what that would be. And I'm like, imagine myself on my deathbed going, man, I got every drop out of my potential and I did all this. But I really didn't know my wife. I didn't know her that well. And she didn't feel really loved. Would I regret that? That's what I'm scared of. So then I'm like, well, but I don't want to underachieve as a leader professionally and all my endeavors and my mission and all this. I don't want to do that. But what if I had to pick, What if I was like, I had a PhD in my wife? Like, dude, I knew that woman, everything about her. I knew what that facial expression meant. I finished her sentence. I knew it was in her heart. I knew what made her feel fulfilled, what caused fear. I'm just studying her every day. I got there, but yet I didn't maybe get to the heights I could have over here. Would I regret that? No. So now I got my priorities in line. I've looked reality in the face. I realize to pick this over here means I'm gonna have to say no to some of this over here, which is going to cost me something. It will cost me something. Could cost you money, could cost you respect, could cost you opportunity, could cost you something. Count the cost. I know what that costs. I know what that pays. I know what this costs. I know what this pays. I'm gonna pick. So when I make the pick, I make it. And I make it well, and I don't feel a visceral fear. They're like, but I'm gonna miss. No. I pick my priority. I like my plan. I'm working my plan now. I work in my plan now. So you know what happened? You know what the byproduct of that was? Peace and rest. When you got this undercurrent of fear and stress, you can't rest. You have a nervous breakdown on the beach. Sunscreen on your nose, buried in the sand, stress, having a panic attack. Why? Because I got this deep stress, man, this fear I don't even know what it is. Look it in the eye. Look it in the eye. Think purpose. Come up with a plan. Act courageously. Release the unknown. Hey, I don't know if it'll cost me. It might not. I'm willing for it. I'm working my plan, and I'm going to release the things that are out of my control to God, and watch what emerges from that. All of a sudden, peace emerges from that. All of a sudden, rest emerges from that. You can actually take a day off. You can actually exhale a bit. Why? It came from actually the stress. This is development. God's doing something here. Don't wish for, hope for, try for a stress-free life. God put it into your biology for a reason. But don't let it overload you to the point that it kills you before your time. You got to go into it and find how to manage it. You want to live well? Well done, life well lived. You got to learn how to manage this stress.